Hello and welcome. I am the Scraptastic Crocheter and my name is Amanda. Today I want to show you some objects and items that I have created in the past. This is a little bit of my beginning in crochet. Maybe not the first items, but some of the first. Here is a shawl, definitely not the first. It is one that starts here and then it goes wider and wider with this fun edge and a straight edge. I don't remember what this yarn is, but it has really gorgeous colors and the fades are really nice. So this is one of the objects that's I was pretty new. Well, I knew the basics and it wasn't that hard. It's a pretty simple stitch. I know I found this pattern on Pinterest, one of the like graph types patterns, not like a written pattern with words. It's one of them. Diagrams, that's the name. I learned diagrams first and I taught myself. This is one of the first diagrams that I like when I was trying to figure out how to read them. I made this one. And I have a bunch of objects here. I have a pretty big shawl here. This is a triangular granny. So just regular granny stitch, but it's a triangle instead of a square, so it makes out this really big shawl, and it's really big. I know that this yarn is a discontinued color. The yarn is Big Verona by Järbo. I know that they still have a lot of gorgeous colors, so even if this color isn't available, they still have a lot of really nice yarn. It's a soft acrylic yarn, but just a regular big granny square or triangle shawl. And I did teach myself how to crochet. I did learn a little bit in school. We had something in Sweden is called syslöjd. It's where you're taught different like textile works. Like you learn how to basic stitch, needle, embroider. We got to make our own gym bags, which was basically just a drawstring bag. But we had some crocheting and some knitting, but I never really thought of it as anything more than what I had to do in school. And then I found it again. I had some periods where I was just freehand crocheting as a kid, but it wasn't really like the most fun thing. It was more when I had nothing else to do and I had a piece of yarn at home. But I did have a lot of crochet hooks that I inherited from my mom gave me her old stash, and my grandma also has given me a couple of during the years or over the years, because they don't use them anymore. My mom is more of a knitter and my grandma just doesn't really enjoy the kind of like yarn type handicraft stuff. This is a smaller shawl. It doesn't take up too much space. It's the virus shawl, and this is the same discontinued colors from the big Verona yarn from Järbo. This is it's kind of nice to see how the colors fade like this. You get a really interesting like almost like the same type of fades as the rainbow in some ways, where you go from a lighter to a darker, or well, different types of fades. Here's a little darker, but then it's lighter and the darker. It's fun to see how different patterns makes the different yarns pop very differently. Like here you get a totally different vibe. When I see this, I almost think of like a, not a checkerboard, because it's more neat, but it's similar to a checkerboard. I guess the checkerboard would be more of a diagonal one. So this is a really nice soft yarn, and I know that the big Verona yarn is still available in other colors. I have another piece made of the same big Verona yarn, but this is a different color. And also this is just I don't know, it's not a blanket, but it's not big enough to, it's a small blanket, but it's not big enough for like a baby. It's maybe a doll size blanket. This was a piece of leftover yarn that I got my hands on. A lot of my yarns are leftovers from other people. My stepmom has made something for her kitchen sofa in this yarn, and this is what was left when she was done. So this, I don't know if you can tell that this yarn is a little shinier. Some of the big Verona yarns are a little shinier, even though it is really the same yarn. But I guess it depends on how they make the colors, because this color is in a solid. It's almost like they have I wouldn't say stone washed. I guess it's the strands when they spin the yarn. Some of them are lighter and darker, but it makes this more like a washed effect, almost like a washed out denim or something. It looks cool. And next here I have this infinity scarf cowl thing. It has the loop somewhere in the middle, on the other side, of course. It is crossed over here in the middle, and it's quite of a large one. You can like use half of it as a hood to cover your head, and then the other half is enough for a scarf. So it's a really large one. It's really soft yarn, and this is from the Swedish store Rusta. It's their own yarn called Mella, and it is really soft. I think this is an acrylic wool blend, and it has like a really nice shine to it. I love the color combinations. It's pretty, I don't know, the green and the orange is kind of a poppy color to me. It's not a color combination I would use myself, or not two colors I would combine like that. So it's kind of an eye-catching part. These pinks and purples, they fade pretty, like, it's nothing special to it. This is more maybe of what I would combine myself, like the greens and this purple. I think they look really nice together. And this is just a granny stitch, nothing, no special stitches. It might look a bit different just along here, because this is the mid part. Since it is an infinity, I started along this line and I worked both sides in an endless loop, like the endless figure 8. So this is, it looks a bit different just because of the stitches. These are pointing in this way, and here it's the upside of the stitch. You can see some of the base chain in between. But it's really like fluffy and nice and warm. I guess that is a little bit of the wool that makes it this warm. Yeah, that makes it so warm. And next is a Scrappy shawl. This is really scrappy because this is literally just other people's scraps. This is leftover chunky, or maybe this is super bulky yarn. And this was just small pieces of yarn, or that was left over from other people's projects. I love making something with like other scraps to make them beautiful. You can see the difference in the yarns, that this is something that has little black thread going through it, and these are more like roving style pieces, and then this and this yarn is the same, but this has another color in it. And then I picked up that again just to get even, some kind of even distribution. So the yarn here, this is actually the same type of yarn and just a different couple of colors. It's the same as the middle part here. But this is a really warm and scrappy shawl. It's a triangular granny stitch. And I have no idea what the fabrics are. I'm guessing a little bit of wool. It's not itchy, but it's gorgeous. It's nice and fluffy and gorgeous, and keeps, like, even with the big holes, it is warm. So scraps is not always dangerous. You can do a lot of gorgeous and pretty stuff with leftovers that no one wants. And another piece I have, this is actually a try piece. I made a poncho in this exact fabric or yarn. It's called Tone from Falkgarn, which is a Swedish brand. And when I made the poncho, I did this type of neck cowl thing, and then I worked my way out in granny squares or granny stitch. And when I did it, I did this as a just to try and figure out the pattern, but I wasn't really happy about this, so this is just the leftover scraps. I did it again, and I was more happy the second time. So this could still work perfectly as a neck warmer in the winter. It's just been laying in the drawer. I love the colors, like the yellow and green, and then the gray. These yarns have a majority that is gray, and then there's a little bit of a pop of the yellow and the green, and then it goes back to the gray. So the yarn balls are mostly gray, and I have a lot more of this yarn and some other projects with this yarn planned, so this is not the last time you will see this yarn on my channel, and I will talk about it more next time I show it to you. But it is a chain spun yarn, and it has a little bit of a wool content also. I know that much. So that's something to keep me warm, or the kids. So this is a little bit of what I have been doing since I started crocheting. Oh, I can show you this. It's a bit of a mess, but it's definitely something that's being used. And it's my crochet needle or crochet hook case holder. It's I know I found a pattern somewhere on Ravelry, I think, or Pinterest. I did put inside of here, it's a hard plastic from a calendar I had, like this size calendar. It had like a spiral chain back. I just removed the spirals and kept the plastic, and I put it inside. Not the perfect fit because it's poking out here in the corners, and this fabric is a bit stretched over it. So next time I should probably look at the plastic piece first, because that was like an afterthought to put the plastic in, to make it more of a sturdy, like, book type of thing, because it wasn't this sturdy to begin with. It was just supposed to be this like flappy part. I guess you could put cardboard or something in it also. This is an acrylic yarn, blue yarn, and here I have a mess of crochet hooks and everything else. I have my needles for sewing in ends, different sizes of needles. I have also the other type of needle with the plastic eye for thicker yarns. I have plastic hooks. I have, this is a plastic hook, this is a metal hook. I have thinner hooks. Like, the thinnest hook I have is this. It's a really thin millward number 13, and I don't even know if it's possible to see how tiny that is. I've never used it. It was a gift from my grandma. Same with this inox shawl. I have never used them. Also from my grandmother. So they are here. I'm figured I'd try them out, but I haven't done that yet. The plastic hooks, to me they're crap, but they are fun to watch or look at. Some pop of color in here. I don't like these ones. They were cheap, and they are made in 2 pieces, so there's a big line going along the hook where the seam is, and you can feel it all the way, so that doesn't feel too much, feel too nice. I think it's even more easy to see it on this blue one. You can see the seam down the middle. So yeah, not my favorite type of hooks. I do like these type of hooks better. I'll show you on this big one. It has a really pointy head, and I guess this is what you would say is an inline hook. It's about the same size all the way through. And I like the pointy head. These are the ones I go to the most, but I do have quite a lot of these red ones. And this is Järbo, the same brand as the cookie yarn and the big Verona yarn, and their heads are a little bit more round and more narrow than up here. This is basically what I learned to crochet with, and I've heard something along the lines of that you tend to end up with what you learned to use. That's the ones that tend to be the favorite ones. Not sure I can agree on that, since I do like the pointier ones a little bit more, or that's the ones I go for more often. I also have some wooden hook, and this one's really pointy here on the head, so it tends to be a little bit snaggy on some type of yarn, the ones that's not maybe twisted really hard, or that is like 4 strands not even twisted together. They tend to split a little easier when it's really pointy. I'm not sure it's visible, but I think you can see that it's pointy like that, and it has the point up here, which I like. I like this hook. It's really nice. It glides through the yarn. It's just not my favorite when it's thin and loosely spun yarns. And of course, who doesn't need stitch markers? You never have them when you need them. I even have a couple that I haven't put back yet. This is the stitch markers I have the most of, because these are easy for me to find. I find 50 packs at my local dollar store, so that's easy to, like, you tend to lose them occasionally, or I don't know if I lose them, I just stick them in my projects, and when I'm not working on said project, they are still there, just not, like, I can't get them, or I'm not gonna take them out of projects that's laying around, because who would do that? That's stupid. So I always need new ones, so that's why I have them. And I have a couple of safety pins up here also. This is it's really handy to have somewhere to have all your stuff. Of course, this is not all my stuff, and this is not everything I use on a daily basis either, because I have a couple more small bags spread around the house with scissors and measuring tape, stitch markers, other hooks. And this is, well, the hooks I don't use, like ever, and the hooks that I tend to use more. So, yeah. A small piece of my collection of items that I use when I crochet. Enough with my rambling for now. I hope this brought some joy, maybe a smile to your face, some of the lovely yarn and colors and squishiness. I really have to bring this one out back again because this purple makes me really happy, and I figured it's maybe a nice backdrop as I say my goodbyes here. But I really hope that you enjoyed some of my ramblings today, and if you have any feedback to my videos, just trying this thing out with YouTube and see where it leads me. I love yarn, and I don't have anyone really to talk about yarn or crocheting with here at home. The pandemic has made it even harder to like be out and about, and even though a lot of people are acting like it's over, it's still there. It's still a part of what we have to live with every day. And I'm dropping stitch markers on the floor. I'm not sure if you heard that, but that's what it was. So yeah, I would love to find some new friends to talk about my love for yarn. And my phone cut me off there in the middle of recording, but I still want to say goodbye. So I would love any type of, well, like, share, subscribe, become my yarn friend, and have some more fun. I have a lot of yarn I want to show you. I have a yarn stash that is pretty gorgeous, if I say so myself. And I'm just tired of sitting here alone in my piles of yarn and not sharing them, because they are gorgeous. I love to share it. So I hope to talk to you soon, and bye for now.